Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 of how to draw Batman in a comic book style. Today we'll be going over how to add colour to your drawing that we did last week. So let's get into it. Also, before we start, I'd just like to let you know that if you do enjoy, a sub to the channel will be amazing, as we're so close to 200 subs and it would be so great if you could help us get there. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the background of the drawing. I'm using Ibis Paint X. So once we've imported it, select the extract line drawing feature and you'll be able to remove the background, turning it into basically a PNG image. So if we create another layer here, we can draw underneath it. So now we want to import the image into our drawing program. I'm using Autodesk Sketchbook Pro, but you can use Photoshop or any other program if you want to, but then if we zoom in here, you can see a lot of the lines are a bit blurry or distorted, and that is because of the image resolution. As you can see here, it is in 720p. So what you want to do is find the largest resolution, which for me is A3, and import it again. And as you can see, the lines are a lot clearer this time. So now we've got all the preparations out of the way, the first thing you want to do is you want to use the selection tool and go around the whole of each colour area. So I'm going to start off with the grey and just selecting all of the grey areas of the suit. Now once you've done that, select the fill tool and fill in all of that in the colour that you wish. Now repeat the same thing for all the other colours, such as the blue and the yellow on the belt. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm getting rid of a large area of shadow on the head. I did see a reference before doing this where there was a large area of the cowl which was in a back highlight. and so I'm incorporating that into what I'm doing here. So once we've done that, we're moving on to adding shadows. Again, starting with the grey, pretty much just going in and adding one layer of a slightly darker tone along the black areas. Now a tip for doing this is, on here there is a transparency lock feature on each layer, so I'm activating that, and that means that you will only be able to colour in or add to what's already on the layer. So I cannot go out of the lines if I'm using transparency lock. There are also different names for this, such as alpha lock or a clipping mask, which you can use as well, but they do work slightly different. Now we're going in with a second layer of shading just to make it a lot smoother of a transition. Now here I've added a colourful background just to check that there are no white areas that I haven't filled in, as it can be quite hard to tell with the just plain background. And now just to create the kind of smoother gradient between the shades, I'm going in with a blur tool and just smoothing over all of the shadows. And now moving on to highlights, I'm using a very light yellow, almost white airbrush, and going over certain areas of the suit that I feel would reflect more light, as some areas I would say are more matte and will only have a layer of shadow and not highlights on them. So once you've done that, I'm using a lot more of a dark yellow, and again with the airbrush just going over other areas. This is for the backlight or rim light, which is pretty much another light source from a different direction, usually set a little bit behind the character, and it pretty much just makes it pop out a lot more from the background. Once we've done all of that, I'm moving on to the background. I'm using a fairly large chisel tip brush with a medium opacity and mostly going for greys and blacks, since Gotham City is fairly dark and miserable. And there's not much detail required for this because it's going to be in the background and it's not going to be what you're going to look at first. Finally, we're just going over with a white outline around the character just to make it pop out a bit more. And that is that. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so this video was very rushed. I'm literally recording this, like, I've probably got like half an hour to edit all of this together before it goes up.